Hey everybody, this is Sterling Sherrill from Sterling Ventures Marketing, and today I'm going to do a video off a blog post that I have done. I know that some people consume differently. If some people like to read, some people like to listen, some people like to watch. So I'm kind of trying to combine everything like that. I like to write out longhand, and then I like to type it, and then I like to speak it. Actually, it's one of the reasons I do the videos like this because it helps me kind of work through it. And as I go along, if if you hear me excited about something, it's because it's like, oh, it's something that once I hear it and out loud and not in my head, I'm even more excited about it. But today, it's called the Force X3 method, and you're going to see why this is the best way, I believe, to announce and implement price increases, because a lot of people fear that, especially service-oriented businesses, that if you are a practice, you're a gym or reflexologist or chiropractor or dentist, whatever it may be, if you all of a sudden have a certain set fee for cleanings that are X amount, and you need to legitimately raise that 15% or whatever to cover costs for something, that there can be some fear and trepidation on that because how it's going to be received. But I believe after this, you'll kind of understand how to do that, and in a way that people will like almost literally thank you for doing that, increasing their prices. So let's get into it right here, okay? A lot of service providers have a desire or even a need to raise pricing, but the fear by doing so, it could lose them current business. There's nothing easy about breaking the news to loyal patients or clients that their services are going to be increasing. But if a business needs to raise prices in order to thrive, it's a skill we must all master. With the right approach, we can turn raising prices into an art technique we must grow and maintain in order to have things like a well-paid trained staff, upgrades for equipment to the latest standards, or to pay to increase your training. Maybe you just need to go to some conferences, or you need to go to get an accreditation, and you need to pay for that. And that shouldn't have to come out of your pocket, because if you're going to help your clients, they can help contribute to that, and they should help contribute, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. Let me get back into it here. Of course, those getting charged don't understand this, nor do they need to know. I'm going to lay out a method that allows raising prices so that you can keep providing the highest level of service to your market. And I want to emphasize that. I know, and most everyone who's in a business knows, you're not raising prices just because you're greedy. It's because something's happened, lease payment, other things come up, like mentioned before. So you shouldn't feel bad about that. Okay. First, we need to cover a little psychology, though. The first and most powerful tool people have to determine value and justify paying higher prices is relativity. So if we try to just arbitrarily change prices, there's nothing for your clients to use in comparison except the old lower price. This will lead them to resent the increase and may lead to coming less for service, or worse, leave you for another option, or not get service at all, which would be the worst thing because we really want to help people. Okay, per MIT professor and behavioral psychologist Dan Ariely, who by the way is one of my favorite authors. He has some really unique perspectives on from his life. You can see him on TED Talks. You want to look him up. His books are great as well too. You can get those on Amazon, of course. The need to use relativity for decision making is inherent to life itself. His article, Humans in the Slime Mold, is based on how such base forms as slime use relativity to make decisions, quote unquote. You can see it here, and if you're listening, there is a link in the blog, or if you're watching, there's a link in the blog. You can go to it and click on it. But short Cliff's Note version of that is basically they had a food source for a slime mold, and one was in dark and one was in light, and they figured because the slime mold doesn't like light, it would go to the one that just would go to the one with the dark to feed off of. But they found that it was about the same. When the concentrations were up a little bit on the light, that it was about 50-50 that the slime mold went to the light one, even though it shouldn't. But as soon as they introduced another food source that was darker, then slime mold completely ignored that light one and went just and chose the heftier dark version. So basically, it's just saying that when there's only two things to compare to, our brains just kind of don't really differentiate, and this kind of it can be more arbitrary. But what happens is once you introduce that third option that aligns with something, the brain at a base level just kind of gravitates towards the two that are most alike, and that's kind of what we're going to do whenever we do a price increase. So whenever you're in a position where a price increase is needed, you do not raise the price on an existing service. You need to add three new services. That will allow the comparison to one another. This triggers that impulse in your clients to not resent the increase, but examine which option they want to choose that fits their needs. So it takes that initial no, and talk about that, especially in 3 second client, that that's the amygdala, the lizard brains are protected, say no, that's new, I don't want to. But then when you have something that's like, okay, because all of a sudden they see two things that look alike and one that's not, then they eliminate the third, and then they kind of look at the two side by side and say, okay, which one's best for me? And that's what we're trying to get to. So the best thing to do is to have two nearly exact set of services, but have one with a little less service, okay? That will be your lower price of the two similar options. You want to then have the higher priced option of those show better qualities that are obvious, okay? Much like when shopping for a car. I know I'm kind of going in the weeds a little bit, so I want to bring us back. When shopping for car, there can be two nearly same models, but one has cloth while the other has leather interior. People want the leather as soon as they see and touch that. It's the same model vehicle. The price might be a little different, a little higher for the leather, but the mind begins to justify the higher priced option. The same will happen more often when you present these two choices as well. What about the third option? Well, that is simply there to push the choice between the original two similar options, and you basically have a preference. You have some. If you have something that you want to service, you think, hey, this is best for your clients. You think it's best for your patients. You think it's best for your skill set. You enjoy it. You make money doing it. You want to have that and have something close to that to be kind of forcing people, and I hate to use the word force, but I just call this force times three method, but to kind of push people in that direction so they decide on what you want them. So using the car example, get back to that. A third option can be a minivan or a pickup. So instead of just the cars that we're looking at, all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, there's this minivan or pickup. Now the mind just totally eliminates that. It's like, immediately. It could be the opposite too. If you had two pickups and you had a car, then it could be the same thing. The mind eliminates that choice and compares the similar of the two is what happens. So if you're at a typical price of $100, I need to get that raised to $120. Now, a 20% increase is hefty, uh, and it may be needed sometimes. Then create two new packages priced at $100 and $140. If you get 50% uptake from 10 clients on a new package at $140, that equates to a new billing of $1,200. Thus, you get your 20% increase that you need, but clients are now happy to have been able to make a choice instead of paying just a typical price increase. All right. Now the third choice would be a completely different services that don't relate to those. Okay. The mind is going to eliminate that option, decide between the packages that are more aligned. I hope that makes sense. All right. Another quick tip is also to name each new service. So that gives it a relationship of what it represents. You don't have to be the next Stephen King. Just call one service something like the Progress Package Plus, the other one the Progress Package Lite, and the third one is the other. The other package. I didn't put that in there. But even when I'm putting together this, all of a sudden I'm writing it and say, you know what, I need to call this something. I need to name this because it has to have something that people can relate to. So I call this the Force X3 method. So I use it as well too. Now to finish up, you're going to need to raise your prices if you're going to be in business over a long period of time. It's going to have to happen. It's a mistake to try to keep your low prices because that will eventually hurt your clients' results. You must be able to pay to keep a top-notch facility, staff, and practice. However, just raising prices with nothing to compare it to will work against you. That's why you need to be creating new services. That helps people use their intellectual tool of that is why you need to be creating new services. That helps people use their intellectual tool of relativity. In the end, this makes people feel like they're in charge and not just dictated to take increases. And it's always nice to have people thank you for raising their costs, isn't it?